Dante's Boxing Nation, what's going on, guys? Well, I have some good news and some bad news for Terrence Crawford. The good news is he was very dominant in his performance over Hank Lundy. He knocked out Hank Lundy in a fashion that Lundy had never been stopped or knocked out before. No one had ever did that to Hank Lundy. Overall, it was a very impressive performance. The bad news is Terrence Crawford is going to end up being one of the most avoided fighters in the sport of boxing. He already had fighters like Mauricio Herrera turn down a fight, Ruslan Provodnikov turned down a fight, Manny Pacquiao turned down a fight, and those would have all been great matchups. Of course, they would have been way better matchups than Crawford versus Lundy. But you have to commend Lundy for stepping in there with Terrence Crawford when no one else would. Now I want to talk a little bit about the fight. When it comes to Hank Lundy, let's be realistic, he's a good gatekeeper. He's a real good fighter. And I believe that Hank Lundy can beat a lot of contenders. But when he steps up in competition, it seems to me like Hank Lundy is really, really good for the first 4 rounds. And this is what I was telling a friend as I was watching this fight. I said, he's really good when it comes to the first 4 rounds. And then as soon as the 4th round came, I said, now you want to really pay attention because this is usually when Hank Lundy starts to slow down when he's fighting against fighters on this caliber. And that's exactly what happened. The very next round, he got knocked out. Of course, you have to attribute that to how talented Terrence Crawford is. And I have to criticize Terrence Crawford just a little bit as well. He did get touched up a couple times in those first 2 rounds, mainly the first round. But the thing with Terrence Crawford is he will adjust. So you have a lot of fighters that will get caught with the same right hand or the same jab or the same lead hook or whatever it is. They'll get caught with the same punch throughout the entire night. They'll still win. They'll still possibly knock their opponent out, but they never really adjust and they keep getting caught with the same punch over and over. I said this a long time ago. The vast majority of these fighters are operating from the left hemisphere of the brain. You have those very few special fighters that are operating from the right hemisphere of the brain. And right now, Terrence Crawford is one of those fighters that can adjust after a couple of rounds. Something else that I said leading up to this fight when it was first announced, I said, even though Hank Lundy may not be on Terrence Crawford's level, just because his style, it may pose some problems, even if it's just for, the first couple of rounds. And it did. That slick style is a very difficult style to oppose. And we seen that in the first round. But once again, you have to give Crawford a lot of credit because he adjusted. Now let's talk about what's next for Terrence Crawford, or what's possibly next for Terrence Crawford. As you guys have probably heard, Bob Arum has conveyed that he wants to make Terrence Crawford versus Manny Pacquiao. Obviously, that would be Terrence Crawford's chance to transition into a superstar if he were to beat someone like Terrence Crawford. But after Crawford's last couple of performances, I don't think Pacquiao wants any parts of Terrence Crawford. On top of that, Pacquiao might not even beat Tim Bradley in the 3rd fight. Because like I've been telling you guys, right now, Tim Bradley, he has almost more momentum than Manny Pacquiao does. So things are going to be uphill for Terrence Crawford when it comes to people getting in that ring with him. There's only one fighter I know that is willing to get in the ring with him right now and would be a much, much better and competitive fight than the Hank Lundy fight was, and that is Victor Postol. Now, Victor Postol is one of the only fighters that has really been calling out Terrence Crawford, and Terrence Crawford, he's been calling out Victor Postol. Terrence Crawford, he just recently said that he would like to fight Victor Postol next if he can't get Manny Pacquiao next. So he most likely ain't going to get Manny Pacquiao, that's for sure. That would just be too good to be true. It just really would be. To watch Crawford versus Pacquiao, that fight would be huge. But unfortunately, I don't think it's ever going to happen. Manny Pacquiao ain't no damn fool. He ain't trying to get in there with a guy who's knocking out all of their opponents with natural power and can switch from righty to lefty. So with that all being said, congratulations to Terrence Crawford on a great performance. We'll see what happens next. I'm on to the next one.